Let's go, baby. It's our time. It's our time. It's our time. We've been waiting for this moment. It's our time. It's our time. He's like, dude, let me go.
Salutations, everybody. It is an absolutely elated Matty here today, talking about the one, the only, the best of all time Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is indeed returning. And you already know, if there's one thing I care about more than life itself, it's this video game series here. We have been chasing KOTOR down and its return for years and years and years here on this YouTube channel. I have been a diehard fan of the series for, well, really ever since I was in like first grade. So I am so excited to hear that this series is coming back. The following information is coming from VideoGameChronicle.com, where they say that Knights of the Old Republic is reportedly in development outside of EA. Now, if you've been watching the channel for the last 10 months, this information may sound a bit familiar because your boy kind of broke this story, but we'll talk about that in a little bit, okay? Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this article, where it's coming from, how many sources are involved. The good news is, it's happening. It's happening. That's according to multiple sources, including credited Star Wars insider Bespin Bulletin, which states in a recent podcast that a new installment in the fan-favorite RPG series is indeed in development at an unnamed game developer. For those not familiar with Bespin Bulletin, I did a little bit of research. This is a trusted Star Wars insider slash leaker. One of the more prominent leaks I saw was something to do with Rise of the Skywalker, that movie that I honestly never watched, but there were moments in a trailer, I believe it was, that he had accurately described. He's been right in the past before, so I would take some of this information as something that can be believable, but just know there is something backing these reports here. It has been reported before that a new KOTOR game is in the works. This is in reference to that Cinelinx rumor I talked about many years ago, but this is the first suggestion that it might be in development outside of its original creator, BioWare and EA, which until recently was the only major company making Star Wars games. Yeah, so this is just one of those cases, wrong place, wrong time, but just to reiterate, I did break this story previously, so if you're looking for more Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic scoops or information or general discussions on this franchise, then just know you can subscribe, you're in the right place. Whatever, the point being is the excitement could have started sooner, but here we are all together, and that's fine with me. So let's continue reading, and I have some more information that I can report in today's video, so let's keep going. As well as citing its own sources, the insider also references comments by Bloomberg journalist Jason Schreier, suggesting that a new game was in development somewhere unexpected. Quote, amongst my digging, I heard there is a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic project in development somewhere, end quote, Bespin Bulletin said. Quote, I talked to a couple of people, and I also found out that Jason Schreier said it's not with EA and will, quote, never guess, end quote, who the studio is that's making the game, end quote. So, new KOTOR game coming, and a lot of people, some of my own sources included, are going, you're not going to be able to guess who this is. It's not like a popular name, but it's not a unknown developer. So whoever's bringing back KOTOR is going to surprise us. And I've been racking my brain on it. Like, is it in Exile? You know, I'm thinking of RPG developers, right? Like, is it someone like Larian Studios? That would be beautiful. Is it Spiders? I feel like Spiders tried to make a BioWare-like RPG with Greedfall. Heck, they even said as much, and Greedfall was pretty good in my opinion. I would love to see Spiders take a crack at KOTOR, especially with a bigger budget, because the only thing that holds their games back nowadays is just some of the jank, which is due to budget, but they're very competent, it seems like. So Spiders would be a very fantastic surprise for me, but it seems like it's some type of under-the-radar studio, maybe a brand new one. I have no idea, but the good news here is that it's not with EA. Now look, I'm not one of those people who tries to scapegoat EA for every single step they take, but with the Star Wars games, I feel like they've actually made quality products, right? They were a part of Jedi Fallen Order, they were a part of Star Wars Squadrons, they were a part of Battlefront 2 when it resurged. They kind of screwed up the launch of that, and Battlefront 1 was not good at all, in my opinion, but still, some quality stuff has come out of EA Star Wars. It's just not at the pace that I think a lot of us wanted from them. And I'm glad that the RPG and the series I care most about is not going out through them. That was my biggest personal concern, because when I first reported this information in my video and Jason Schreier said to me that this is not coming from someone within EA, that didn't make sense. But now with Lucasfilm saying everyone can come and play in a galaxy far, far away, it makes a whole lot more sense. And I think the information just inherently became more plausible thanks to that Lucasfilm Games deal kind of going through. And we're seeing now that Ubisoft's making a Star Wars game, and certainly other developers are. In fact, Lucasfilm Games promised in their blog post that there will be more throughout the year. And we'll talk about a potential announcement and when that could be this year based off what I have been told. Still though, your guess is as good as mine on who exactly is making this game. It could really be anybody, but those are going to be some of the companies that I just tossed my hat into the ring on. inXile I know is working on like a AAA steampunk RPG, so maybe you could write them off the list, but I'm just trying to think of more under the radar developers. Like, all I'm saying is if Larian started making KOTOR, for those who don't know, Divinity Original Sin 2 is my RPG of the PS4 and Xbox One generation, and for good reason. That game is just RPG mastery. I adore it so much. Baldur's Gate 3, fantastic game so far, even in early access. So if they ever laid a finger on Star Wars, oh my God, my brain would melt. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I don't know who it is. I want to know who it is really badly, but I'm imagining that when KOTOR comes back, this will probably not be in the way that we recognize it. But before we talk about all of that, because we have a lot of discussion to have in this video, let's continue reading more information. Another person who occasionally shares information on unannounced games, Nate Nadja of Wushu Studios, who is Shinobi 602, by the way, friend of the show here, corroborated the claims that a new KOTOR is in development. He said over on Reset Era, "It's not as mysterious as you think," in reference to who the developer is. "It's just not a household name many people are aware of." So that's why I went with the Spiders, Larian Studios. These are companies that a lot of us know here in the core gaming circle, but I think on a broader spectrum, not a lot of people are aware of these studios and the games that they make, which, you know, I do understand, but I don't think some were saying like maybe it's Bethesda or something along those lines. I don't think so. I would love to see Bethesda do a like open world Star Wars game at some point, but I don't think they are doing that. I think they're putting their chips on the table for Indiana Jones. So now I got two things to share, and then we'll get into the rest of the article where they talk on broader plans for Star Wars. I just figured I'd kind of bundle that in since we're already talking about Star Wars. But in the terms of the Old Republic, whatever they're doing with this, I was told that development is coming along fine, which is very good to hear, especially nowadays in a pandemic. Development going smooth is very good. This is also very key because when we look at the KOTOR remake that was talked about many years ago, that project was put into stasis because they were having a lot of trouble with it. And that was pre-pandemic, right? So now in the pandemic, the fact that it's going smoothly means it is likely well underway, but that bit is my own speculation. So go ahead, know that when it comes to announcement timing, what I was told is it's very well possible it could happen this year. But once again, with the pandemic, that does throw a monkey wrench into all of this. Why is that the case? Because anything can get pushed back, anything can get complicated. I mean, we're lucky that so many games came out last year. And of course, that could have just been assumed. You look at the Lucasfilm Games post, and that said right there that they're going to be announcing more Star Wars projects down the line. So I imagine we will eventually hear whatever this is down the line anyway, but it seems like it's possible it happens within some time of this year. And hey, look, I put it out into the universe. I said 2021 is the year that we get the Old Republic. I don't say this stuff for my own health. When will people listen? God. I was also told that while it's currently being called KOTOR, it may not come back like KOTOR. Now, of course, in gameplay, I think that's to be expected. I adore Knights of the Old Republic with all of my heart, but even I can say that that gameplay has not aged well. They need something a little more action-focused or tactical, whichever route the developer wants to go. But simply put, the combat system that's in place now is not going to suffice, and it's not going to drag a lot of attention, I think. Would it be nice to see a Star Wars game that isn't action-based? Of course, I would love something more tactical, but even that is still a step ahead of what KOTOR currently offers. But also in the terms of the universe itself, it may not be that story of Bastille, and for those who haven't played it, I'm not going to say who else, but it may not be that story of the Old Republic we know. And quite honestly, now that we're actually talking about details here, I'm okay with that. I'm okay if they leave behind the KOTOR we know. While it didn't wrap up and they kind of finished the story through a book, I personally would rather them just leave what I love there. I don't need it to be tarnished. I don't need to become jaded over KOTOR. I would like to see a developer take a new idea, right? If they remaster these games and they just bring them and say, hey, here's a collection, here you can play them on your Switch, which I think will inevitably happen. They did just port KOTOR 2, and they already had KOTOR 1 ported to mobile. So I feel like bringing them to Switch as well as maybe PS4 at some time and PS5 would make a ton of sense. I think that's just a natural idea that will eventually happen and would show that there's life in the franchise. I mean, people are hungry for this. There's a reason why this rumor is spiraling and people are very excited about it. But yeah, that's kind of what I was told, is that it may not be the old Republic that we know. It's very well possible, just based off the Star Wars timeline. I actually just started reading Light of the Jedi, that this could fall into the High Republic area. This was kind of a golden age for the Republic. And so far, it's been an interesting read. I'm only a couple of chapters in, so I can't speak authoritatively on that. But it's been suggested to me that it's possible that it's not the exact old Republic timeline we know. And obviously, given where Disney stands on certain things being canon and non-canon, I understand why that would be the case. For me, just anything old in the Star Wars universe is infinitely more appealing. It's more politically driven. I think that the armor and weaponry there, just because it's, for lack of better words, more ancient, is more appealing to me. You still have those lightsabers, but they're kind of still mastering the art. They're figuring things out. There's this looming darkness in the background that's building, and everyone's trying to kind of live a peaceful yet sort of uneasy life. So anything kind of in that era is good for me. But that is sort of what had been shared with me, and I just wanted to put it out there. Let's keep going with some of the reports here. We have also at the end of this article, on a broader plan for Star Wars games, the insider said he'd heard about, quote, a bounty hunter game, end quote, which was developed somewhere, and that EA was working on a, quote, smaller, end quote, Star Wars game. Quote, I don't know if Bounty Hunter game is with them or it's with Ubisoft, but yeah, EA is working on stuff, and there's another unannounced Star Wars game at EA, which I have no idea what it is. I don't think it's Battlefront 3, end quote. I don't think it's Battlefront 3 either. We already know that full development is in on Battlefield 6, which is inevitably coming around, and I'm looking forward to seeing that because that series has kind of been out of my mind for a while, where I think I'm refreshed and ready to give it another crack. A bounty hunter game with Ubisoft would make sense because Massive's doing it. Massive does third-person shooters, so I imagine this will also be a third-person shooter. And honestly, after we got 1313 stripped away from us, I'm okay with a Star Wars third-person shooter from the Division 2's developers, where I thought the Division 2 was actually a really fun game to play. So that is kind of it when it comes to Star Wars. A lot to talk about with Knights of the Old Republic, but it looks like it is finally happening with a little bit of extra information sizzled in by me here. And yeah, I just hope everyone's excited, man. I mean, of course, you know me. You know me. I'm going to be right on top of this. The second there's KOTOR, like, I delayed my podcast today. I delayed my podcast today. I was having tech issues. We had to re-record a whole segment with Xbox Live Gold. So, of course, I had to make sure that was done. But I was like, look, we're just pushing this back. We got to talk about KOTOR today, okay? So that's available on free feeds for those who are interested. But anyway, with that, time for me to sign out. I look forward to seeing all of your thoughts on KOTOR in the comments down below. So do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all the patrons, all the members here on the channel. Appreciate each and every single one of you. I'll talk with you soon. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.